The night Ava Rahman stopped believing in love, it was raining. Rain pressed against the tall glass windows of the penthouse she once called home, tracing restless paths down the glass like fingers searching for a way in. The city shimmered below, alive and careless, unaware that inside those polished walls something sacred was breaking apart without a sound. Ava had always believed betrayal would arrive loudly, with shouting, with slammed doors, with unmistakable cruelty. Instead, it arrived in laughter. She had been standing outside her husband's study, one hand still clutching her phone, heart fluttering with excitement. She had secured funding that afternoon. After months of sleepless nights and stubborn persistence, her design startup finally had investors willing to believe in her vision. She had imagined Ryan lifting her off the ground, telling her how proud he was. But when she reached the door, she heard Lena's voice instead, soft, amused. "She's talented," Lena said lightly. "But she trusts too easily." A pause, then Ryan laughed. "That's why this works. Once the investors sign, we transfer everything. The brand, the accounts. She won't even see it coming." The words slipped under the door and into Ava's bloodstream. For a moment she thought she had misunderstood. Surely there was context. Surely there was some business strategy she didn't grasp. But then Lena added, "And when she finds out?" Ryan's voice lowered. Practical. By then it won't matter." Ava did not burst in. She did not scream. She stood there, fingers pressed into the wood, listening to the man she loved plan her erasure with the woman she trusted most. That was the night she learned that betrayal rarely shouts. It whispers. By morning, her access to the company accounts had been restricted. By afternoon, her name had quietly disappeared from internal documents. By the end of the week, she was asked to step back from leadership for the sake of stability. And at home, Ryan had the audacity to look tired. "You've been overwhelmed," he told her gently. "Maybe this is good for you." She stared at him across the dining table, noticing for the first time how carefully he avoided her eyes. She realized something terrifying. This had not been impulsive. It had been studied, calculated, prepared. Within a month, the company she built from scratch no longer legally belonged to her. Investors sided with Ryan and Lena. Contracts were airtight. Every loophole had been sealed. Even the apartment was in Ryan's name. The divorce papers were filed quietly, efficiently. Ava moved out on a gray afternoon with 2 suitcases and a silence so heavy it felt like it would bend her spine. The apartment she found was small and tired. The paint peeled near the windows. The bathroom faucet dripped in uneven rhythm. At night, traffic noise seeped through thin walls. The first week she barely unpacked. She lay on the mattress on the floor and stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment she had dismissed her instincts. Every time Lena had asked for financial access. Every time Ryan had insisted on handling contracts himself. She cried only once. Not for the company. Not for the marriage. She cried for the version of herself who had believed love and partnership meant safety. When the tears stopped, something else took their place. Clarity. She understood now that grief could hollow her out completely, or it could sharpen her. So she began again. Quietly. She took freelance design projects under a shortened name. She met small clients in coffee shops. She saved everything. She studied contracts the way she once studied color palettes. She read legal guides late into the night until her eyes burned. She learned how shares could be diluted, how board votes could be influenced, how ownership could be structured so that no one person could quietly erase another. But more than that, she learned to listen. She listened to pauses in conversations, to hesitation in promises, to the way greed revealed itself in small, careless comments. Trust, she decided, would no longer be given freely. It would be earned. 2 years passed. Ryan and Lena's company flourished publicly. Awards, interviews, magazine features praising their innovation. But beneath the surface, cracks formed. Employees complained of unstable leadership. Designs grew repetitive. Investors whispered about declining originality. Ava watched from a distance. Not with jealousy, with patience. When the time was right, she launched her new company. The branding was different. The structure was impenetrable. Legal protections were layered like armor. Anonymous investors backed her quietly. And when Ryan and Lena's company began struggling financially, an offer arrived at a generous acquisition proposal from a private firm willing to inject desperately needed capital in exchange for majority shares. They resisted at first, but pride dissolves quickly under debt. They signed. The paperwork transferred control swiftly and cleanly. A board meeting was scheduled to announce leadership restructuring. Ryan arrived irritated. Lena arrived anxious. Neither knew who stood behind the acquisition. The conference room gleamed with cold precision. Glass table, steel fixtures, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city that had once admired them. The door opened. Ava stepped inside. Her heels clicked softly against marble. She wore no dramatic smile. No visible anger. Just composure. Lena's face drained of color. Ryan stood halfway from his chair, disbelief tightening his features. Ava. She took the head seat at the table. Yes. The single word settled heavily in the room. She slid folders across the glass surface. As majority shareholder, she said calmly, I'm initiating leadership changes effective immediately. The documents were flawless. Legal triggers activated due to performance decline. Board votes already secured. Lena's hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. You planned this, she whispered. Ava met her gaze evenly. You taught me how. Ryan's anger surfaced last. This is revenge. Ava considered the word carefully. For years, she had imagined this moment burning with satisfaction. She had imagined fury roaring through her veins. Instead, she felt steady. No, she replied. This is correction. Security escorted them out of the building before sunset. Ava remained alone in the conference room long after they left. The city lights flickered on one by one, reflecting against the glass. She expected triumph. Instead, she felt something quieter. Release. Months later, her company received national recognition for innovation and ethical leadership. On stage, applause rose around her like a wave. But as she held the award, her mind drifted back to the small apartment with peeling paint. To the nights she chose not to disappear. To the mornings she forced herself to stand back up. Revenge had not rebuilt her. Discipline had. Loneliness had. Resolve had. When the ceremony ended, she stepped outside into the cool night air. The city hummed, alive and indifferent as always. Once, she had feared being erased. Now she understood something powerful. You cannot erase a woman who has learned how to rebuild herself. They had tried to take her name, so she built something that carried it higher than they ever could. And this time, no one would take it from her.